Hi, this is Dassum Om from Team Apollo. We'll give a final presentation on our team project Medication Visualizer. Here are some of the important links to web pages related to our project. We'll put the YouTube link for this presentation once we upload the video. Our codes are in the GitHub repository. You can see how our web is built and deployed in Drone and Rancher. You'll be able to see our final product in the last link. What's Medication Visualizer? It's an intuitive web-based visualization application which provides users, especially we are targeting healthcare professionals, with a visual representation of all available medications so that they can easily sort through the appropriate product with more meaningful groupings. Now I'll introduce my team members, their roles and responsibilities. As a UX designer and developer, Uday worked on developing prototype and UI, and it built the entire app structure. As a developer, Patrick worked on researching, deploying, and connecting to server and loading data. As a developer, Marco worked on landing page and Chart.js initial setup. He also presented our last presentations. As a project manager and developer, I managed the project and worked on deploying and dashboard and search functions. As a UX designer and QA, Rory built the initial prototype and worked on testing the product. He also presented last presentations.
Hey, this is Marco Colosito from Team Apollo, and I'm here to touch base a little bit on the research that we did on the industry problem, as well as the existing domain on medication visualizers. So the main problem that we identified was that uh, most of the time, or sometimes, health and medication literacy can lose its importance to patients and even healthcare providers in today's fast-paced society with modern medicine, because what ends up happening is that a lot of healthcare professionals or doctors, nurses, they'll be tend to focus on getting the patients in and out of the healthcare facility, just for time's sake. And of course, this can result in readmissions or incorrect medications or dosages in the extreme sense. Of course, this doesn't happen all the time, but this is a common error case that we have observed. And EHR systems do provide intuitive alerts and medication suggestions, but of course, humans are always going to be the weakest link because they can easily like override or ignore suggestions provided by the EHR system. And there's a link down here to an article written by two medical professionals on the issues of readmission rates due to these points that I pointed out earlier. And as far as the gaps in the domain, like I mentioned previously, a lot of EHR systems do provide the user with a lot of information, but half the time that information can be obfuscated by the lack of visual appeal or I guess, comprehensive groupings of the data so the user can properly understand it, which is where we use these two links here to kind of give us these libraries that can help us pull off as much information from the FHIR servers to work with our JavaScript. And then these four links down here link to the frameworks such as chart.js, D3, and the sequences sunburst chart to help us provide a more visually appealing and comprehensive groupings for the user so they can understand the data better in the web page.
Hi, this is Uday. I am from Team Apollo. I will continue the presentation for next few slides. The first one would be the project goal and the requirement. One of the requirement was to have the nice RX representation of all the medication to make the easier to sort through all the appropriate RX list. The second requirement was to implement a visualizer which aims to provide the app user with a visual of RX in a more meaningful grouping. We divided the project goal into three parts. One of the item was to build an intuitive web-based application. The second one was to create a solution which can help healthcare entities, specifically doctors, the pharmacist, the end user who will use the application. And the third one was to create a dashboard to manage, administer, and chart medication to represent the data to the app user effectively. We used various tools and the language to build the application. For prototype, we used Balsamiq to create the screen designs before we start the development. As a data source, we used Happy R4 server that is based on HL7 API, and we use the medication API to build the backend. As a language, we use JavaScript that and used React framework to build the application on top of it. Project deployment, we committed our code into the GitHub, and then we set up the drone and the rancher that deploys the code into the server.
Hello, this is Patrick from Team Apollo. I'm going to be demoing the medication visualizer application. When you visit the URL, you will see the landing page, which gives the user a summary of what features and utility the user can expect from the application. On the top is a navigation bar, which can take you to 3 different pages. The logo will return the user back to this landing page, and the other 2 pages are the dashboard and search page. Let's move to the dashboard. And upon visiting the dashboard, the top displays the total number of medication resources found from a particular data source that has an exposed FHIR API, such as an EHR. There's also a total for the total medication dispense resources found, which indicate how many medication orders were ordered by physicians or sent to the pharmacy. So as you can see, there are bar graphs and pie charts and donut charts that show the number of medications that have a particular quality or attribute. So for example, the medication form chart shows the quantity of medications for various medication forms. Hovering over portions of the chart shows the exact number of medications that have a particular form and the ID of those resources. Some resources may not include the particular attribute, so they may not have a value for such as the form attribute, and these will be labeled as unknown. So these unknowns can be deselected to provide a more insightful visualization. Let's move to the search page. So you see we can use this drop-down menu to choose what value or attribute to search on, such as name, ID, form, etc. We'll search upon the ingredient and look up acetaminophen. So you can see that the search returns a table of matching medication resources with some relevant information. And this concludes the demo. Further exploration of the application can be done by visiting the deployed application.
Hello, my name is Roy McGurty, and I will be covering the project status and future plans for our app. As you can see, as of this moment, we have pushed our final project to GitHub and deployed it on HDApp. Below the completed tasks, you will see that there are a few more tasks left before this project is completed, which our team will be working on over the coming days. On this slide, we have a link to our Gantt chart. And in that chart, we are showing our current progress. So what are our future plans? Number 1, connect to a server with more data. The more data, the better, as long as our app can scale with that, of course. Number 2, implement an interactive chart attached to the search bar. An interactive chart could improve the user experience. Number 3, usability testing. Before any app is used by the public, usability testing must be done. For example, we could have an expert in usability audit our application, or perhaps we could conduct some A/B testing to better understand the efficacy of our design. Finally, we have the porting of our app to other devices. Obviously, a huge opportunity would be to port our app to smartphones, tablets, and other devices commonly used